Hello everyone, and welcome to the official Guild Battleground ranking video. If you haven't yet, check out my other videos for Quantum Incursion and Guild Expedition buildings. Unlike these other two videos, I'll be breaking up the Guild Battleground buildings into groups. The first group are the standard buildings that can be won by everyone and during every season. Starting with the worst building, which is the Statue of Honor. Even at its highest level, it only gives forge points, coins, guild goods, and guild crowns, and not many of them either. It also takes up a 3x4 space and requires a road. A road to victory is only slightly better. It gives defense for attacking armies and random goods, but it also takes up a 3x2 space, and it needs to be connected to a Statue of Honor. Then there is the Iridescent Garden, which connects to the Elephant Buildings we'll cover in a second. It also gives defense for attacking armies, goods, and a forge point. Yes, one forge point. But it takes up a 2x3 space, so the efficiency just isn't there. There are 3 top-level buildings for the Great Elephant. The first is the Bazaar, which gives attacking boost for attacking armies, coins, forge points, guild crowns, and guild goods. Its focus is the guild goods, which will be more clear when looking at the next 2 buildings. The Citadel is very similar to the Bazaar, but has 1.5 times more attack boost and less guild goods. And the Royalty version has an average attack boost and guild goods, but twice as many forge points as the other 2. Regardless, all 3 round out the bottom of the list for Guild Battleground buildings. The main prize is the Tourney Grounds. It takes up a 3x4 space, the same as an Elephant Building or Statue of Honor, but it gives massive amounts of army boosts. Although it does not give standard boosts, it does provide for all 3 Guild minigames: Guild Battleground, Guild Expedition, and Quantum Incursion. The kicker is that it only lasts for 14 days. So in order to constantly have it in your city, you need to continue getting fragments for it from fighting or negotiating in Guild Battlegrounds. It takes 500 fragments to get one building, so getting enough during one session is difficult but doable for most. So now let's take a look at the buildings that can only be won from the Diamond League. When these buildings were first introduced, there was just the Tower of Champions. You could only gain fragments for its selection kit by finishing in the top 3 guilds of your map, so it was very difficult to obtain unless you're a member of a top guild. Of course, it's a pretty good building to try and get, with attack and defense boosts for both attacking and defending armies in Guild Battleground and Expedition. Plus some forge points and guild goods in a 4x4 space, and no road requirements. If you were strong enough for more fragments, you could get level 2, which gives a hefty increase to all of the stats I just mentioned. I, unfortunately, was not a member of a guild that could get enough fragments, and to my dismay, the next season introduced a new tower. The Royal Tower of Champions, according to my calculations, is worse than the normal Tower of Champions, with reduced stats in most fields. That being said, it does give Tourney Ground fragments, albeit only 3 at level 1, and similarly at level 2, the Royal version is lesser than the standard version, but now gives 10 fragments a day for the Tourney Grounds. After those 2 seasons, Forge of Empires started to have themed seasons with special buildings. You'll have to correct me if I'm misremembering, but I think the first of these seasons was Thunderdrake, which introduced the Thunderdrake Citadel. Luckily, it's better than both versions of Tower of Champions, with more attack and defense boosts for standard armies in addition to the guild minigames. It also provides more forge points, as well as goods and fragments for not only its own upgrade, but also another Thunderdrake-themed building. Getting the upgrade kit outside of Guild Battlegrounds made it a lot easier to get level 2, which gives even better rewards and more boosts. The other themed building is called Thunderdrake Siege Shop, and it gives army boosts, forge points, goods, and artillery units. It has 2 levels as well, but yet again I wasn't lucky enough to get the means of upgrading, so I just have level 1. Then there was Wyverntide and its Spire of Victory, which is more efficient than the Thunderdrake Citadel. It gives more in boosts and rewards overall, even if some stats are lower at level 1 or level 2. The Wyverntide Smithy was released as well, with army boosts and the ability of producing supplies, and it even counts towards production quests. Of course, this doesn't necessarily add anything to its efficiency calculation, but it is a nice bonus. The next season was Glimmdrake, with a new respective tower, and this follows the pattern of being better than the last, as is the level 2 version when compared to the level 2 version of the other tower buildings. The extra building for this season gives similar boosts and rewards to the Thunderdrake Siege Shop, and focuses on fast units for production. Finally, we reach the current season happening at the end of 2024, Lindworm. Its keep is the best yet, with higher boosts and rewards than ever, which makes sense, I guess, since they want you to keep playing the game. Its level 2 version is second most efficient only to the tourney grounds, except this building is permanent. Interestingly, the Lindworm archery range is ranked lower than the other buildings from the earlier seasons, especially when comparing level 2 versions. It may depend on what age you're in for whether you think it's worth building, since it produces ranged goods, as the name suggests. I can only guess that there are more seasons to come in order to introduce buildings that produce light units and heavy units, but only time will tell. In the meantime, that's the end of this video. Thanks very much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. If you enjoyed this video and would want to see more, please like and subscribe. And as always, keep on jamming.